Hi, good evening, traders. This is Krishna Joshi with 7 Points Capital, and today I'm going to bring you the trader takeaways for the evening. Exciting day, a lot of volume, Fed Wednesday, and a lot of things are going on, like SPY. That's how we'll usually start off with. Um, Spice saw a little bit of pullback yesterday on decent volume, but again on Fed news, we saw an initial rally and then Spice kind of pulled back. So as you can see, we are caught up in this range between 252 and 280, and then another smaller range between 258 and 272, and then it's just getting tighter. And then, but it seems like it's been holding these lower levels. As you can see, big sell-off day, and then pulls back 3 days, 3 green days. So if there was weakness, we should have seen follow through because it's earnings season. A lot of companies are coming up with excellent numbers. They gap up, probably sell off. That's been the theme of these companies this quarter. But guess what? It's been holding up the market strong. Like companies like MasterCard, some big names announcing today, Apple, Gilead, Snapchat. So quite a few exciting. It was a very exciting day today, and we'll get into SPY that I was talking about. So spies were, as you can see, like sold off and then just pulled back 3 days in a row, gapped up the fourth day, hit the resistance at 268, and then has been kind of inside that top to bottom range. So this big sell-off day, we just last 4 or 5 days, it's just inside of that particular range. So until we break on either sides, I think it's best to say that markets would be sideways, will be choppy, and overall, um, yeah, 2 o'clock Fed announcement today. Look at that. Markets initial reaction was up, and then just sold off for the rest of the day. That was a good 3 point sell-off, and there are quite a few names that we could catch big moves on. So I'll jump into individual names. The three segments as usual. The first one, good trade was Snapchat. All of us were watching it after hours yesterday. Snapchat was poor numbers. The new version of the app not working out. They've been having issues with this, and the bigger issue is monetizing, something that Facebook has been really good at doing that. So Snapchat has been having those issues. Looking at the daily on Snapchat, it's just funny. Like last quarter was up 50% on 200 million shares, and it's up, and it's below that particular range where it's short off from. So it was 14 last quarter. On earnings day, it goes up to 21. That's 50% on crazy amount of volume, and it's been just hasn't broken those highs. It's been just selling off since, and it's all-time lows for the stock, which is why once it was holding the 12 level yesterday after hours, we were paying a lot of close attention to how the stock was reacting off the key significant numbers. 1150 today, we saw massive, look at all of this volume, in anticipation that the stock is going to be short seller restricted, down more than 20% or so. And you could see the pre-market action, because mind you, on day one, on the pre-market, even if the stock is down 20%, but it hasn't opened for trading, so you can actually get short without the SSR being into effect. So on that anticipation, people already getting short, a lot of RCAs and New York's getting hit, and you could see like massive sell-off. So right off the open, huge sell-off. So it traded off right around here, and that broke below 1150 pre-market and held below 1150. And look at that, just clean sell-off all the way, 50-cent sell-off below $11. But huge reversal candle around 11 o'clock, around the $11 mark. So a couple of things that we noticed here was the offer was obviously chasing it, and there were bids stacked at key levels like 1125, 1120, 1115, and they were getting taken out. A few instances it would take more than one attempt to take it out, but it would get taken out. So the sell-off was pretty steep, and the pullback was even steeper. So pullback was really easy on the way up, because if you had good spots where you saw the change of momentum from the downside to upside, there were easy 10-15 cents to be made on the trade, whereas to make 15 cents on the way down, look at how much you had to be patient with the position. Let's say you shorting 11:30 right around here. To make 20 cents, it took you almost 2.5 hours to make 20 cents. But on the way up, right around here, when it was easy to trade, when you could clearly see the shorts were getting trapped below the 11 mark, um, goes down on volume, comes right back up, and then makes an attempt to actually go down again. And when that does not happen, you see like a huge squeeze because of that. So right around here, um, this was the change of momentum. I got out of all my shorts because we started shorting the 11, 12s, 13s, 14s on the way down. And as the momentum shifted, we got out of our short positions and we were waiting to see what the stock wants to do. And this is when it started actually rallying. Look at these bars. Not a whole lot of volume, but yet the stock was just very strong. So this is where we had a few long setups, short, cover and going long, and this worked very well because again the trade was easy, the momentum shifted, we went through the pre-market highs of the 1150 where a lot of volume was being traded. These were reserve orders on Arca and a couple of other exchanges, so this was really significant. And if you're shorting any of these, you are getting stopped out, like you're 7 cents out of money and it would just go one shot everything. So this is how you could tell that people was stuck in this one, because it would just wipe off the offers and the next price that you would see was 7-8 cents higher. So Snapchat, the short trade started working on the way down again right below here. This is where again I started looking at the short position. I saw it came back, it made a good reversal, and then this is where we started getting on the short side. This was the stop loss, and it came back to the 45, 46. I remember on this one big candle. Didn't really get involved here, added some on the way to 44, 43 here, and then just trying to ride it all the way down. And this ended up being the best stock on the day for me, the best stock on the desk, obviously for everyone. But the best part about this was sizing appropriately, because that's how you could maximize your gains. Being on the right side, because if you were stuck on the short side on these candles, you are out of money on 7-8 cents for how much ever position you had. And likewise, if you're trying to buy it and keep holding it against it, you'd be out of money as well on the. So if you started buying these 40s all the way up to 45, you never made money on this position. So key reversal signs were really important that you notice those. You stayed in the direction of the trend on the short-term trend. This is the highest moving average that I have, which is the 65 period. Not significant how much what value it is, but once these started pointing down and they just started kind of bouncing back to the levels which were kind of acting as support area. So this was a good bounce back, as 48 acted as support. Guess what? Once it went down, it started acting as a resistance on the way down. So these were good spots where we started getting short, and ended up being really good trade on the day. I'll get into a couple more symbols. Something that I should have done better was Gilead. I was short overnight in this one, not a huge position, just a little bit around the 69s, and there was a fantastic sell-off right off the open, and I covered 66.50 right into this wash. Got involved again a little bit, short at 67s, covered 66.50 because I didn't like how the action was right around here. So, and then it broke above, VWAP, started consolidating higher, started wedging, and bought the breakout of 67.50, 45.50 right around here, and took everything at 68 because this was acting as a magnet. The pre-market lows were 68, came back to that. So this is where I took off my first long, actually initiated another long position and got stopped out at like 67.70 area. So didn't end up being a big winner, but also not a big loser. But key takeaways from this was the idea was to look at the setups on the way down, because once the 68s broke, it failed right away, and these are failed reversal trades for me. This is one of the setups that I look at, and I should have probably got involved again on some of these short short setups. Wouldn't have made a lot of points on it, probably a point and a half. But again, the key thing here was easy signs telling that the stock was weak. Looking at the daily, this was January when the stock had positive news. It was buying Kite Pharmaceuticals. They were going to do a lot of things with their cash on the balance sheet, but the numbers yesterday were pretty weak, and I did have expectations of 64. I hope that's my price target for the next few days. I'll be trading it, keeping it on my watch list for the next few days as well. And the final stock I want to go over is TAP, which is one bad trade. One of the biggest breweries, not the biggest one, second, third biggest breweries. The stock was weak, poor numbers, missed on both sales and the bottom line, and it gave a couple of good short setups. So this was my first short entry right around 63.20, not risking a whole lot, looking for a continuation pattern. I got out, probably covered for a point or so once it started looking like this, like started making high lows. Wasn't really breaking out as yet, but I took some around the low 62.30s. So this was my first initial short entry, and then I actually had a long position at 62.50. I had these trend lines in position, and I was looking at them all day, trying to stay in the direction of the trade. But what happened here was, while looking at Snapchat and a couple of other symbols, I just gave it way too much room, and which is why it's a bad trade for me, where I knew if the trend line was broken on the way down, this is going to be a short setup. If not short setup, there was no reason for me to still be long. I gave it more sense than I should have. Ended up taking 62.05 right around here. Would have at least saved me about 25-30 cents. No reason to be in it. I was looking for a bounce, was looking for areas where this would support and bounce back, and that didn't happen. And not just that, I missed a fantastic short position. Look at that. So I had the trend lines in there, the wedges were in there, clear setup to go short. Instead I was stuck long and gave it more sense. So good learning from this stock. Should be active tomorrow as well. It's looking very bad, pretty bad on the daily. So we'll see how this one goes tomorrow. Thanks again for watching, guys. Those were 3 symbols that we covered. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. There were a lot of names. There isn't enough time to go over all of them. But if there were any individual names that you like trading or you were in it, there's a fair chance that either me or someone on the desk was involved in it, and we were watching the stock. So feel free to shoot us messages on Twitter, and like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thanks again for watching, and this is Krishna Joshi with 7 Points Capital.